We are checking out It's Me by TryHardNinja, a classic that apparently got reanimated for a 10-year anniversary. And the reason I am choosing the 10-year remake, I don't know if the song itself is remade, but if there is ever an updated version, to me, I interpret that because as an artist, I do this when it's like, hey, I've made a version that I think is just improved. I think it represents me as an artist better, etc., etc. So I want to respect the artist and look at the updated version. Let's see what is good.
Welcome to your office, settle down and take a seat. Please pay no attention to the terrifying screams.
Okay, so first and foremost, I am a reactor that pauses. I don't just watch a song all the way through, so you don't need to go watch it because you need to watch the original in its entirety. Show respect for the original creator. We are not freebooters here. Cool. So I'm going to be pausing when I have thoughts or something to talk about. The first thing I want to say right off the bat, there is a field of FNAF songs that I judge it in a way that is a personal taste. And for me, it's when lyrics are too on the nose. This is starting out on the nose, and that's not to say it's bad. Well, I'm not going to say anything's bad because then people just get mad at me. But that is to say that that is an especially subjective thing because some people might like it. For me, I like it to be a little more vague. I like it to be applicable to more than just like, if I don't know FNAF, then this song means absolutely nothing to me. But that's just me. Let's carry on.
Welcome to your office, settle down and take a seat. Tonight you might be by yourself, but you are not alone.
That bar was cool. Na 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 na. That lowered fifth. Ooh. I like that. I like that a lot. That's already really, really, really cool. I love that. It's bluesy. It's like it's unsettling. It's a diminished fifth. So like it's gonna grab your attention right off the bat. It's just like, ooh, what'd you do there? Okay, so it's hard to tell because it's a little buried in production, not in a bad way, but more in that there's just like a lot going on. It's mixed quite deeply. But from what I can tell, those flips into the head voice are pretty clean. But you... Okay, so something about the mixing there in particular, I'm not necessarily vibing with as much. I think the octave higher vocals took a little too much of the lead. Because I think that's another thing is sometimes, and maybe this was an artistic choice, so that these higher octaves, kind of unsettling vocals, it almost sounds like it's kind of mimicking like a childish delivery. And that makes sense from a narrative perspective with the song and everything like that. I don't know how much I love it just from a pure audio perspective. It kind of breaks the immersion of I'm just listening to a song rather than like I'm consuming FNAF content. I think it would have been cool if the lower octave took the lead more of that and these higher octave things accompanied it. I just think the lower octave melody in this part in particular is stronger. Okay, we have a build-up. Okay. There's evil that waits inside of me. It's a grimy drop. Cool. So I'm more of a songwriter than I am a producer. I don't know a ton about production, especially with things that are more in the electronic space. I have a more rock alternative background. So a thing that alienates me personally with a lot of FNAF songs is that a lot of them are very electronic, which I get it. That makes sense because it's animatronic. Stuff is robotic. Literally, the whole series is about furry robots, you know? That's just not my personal music taste. So I get especially picky with a lot of these, especially the songs that get a little like too Vocaloid and lean too hard into like these are literally robots singing, because eventually for me it just becomes like this is a FNAF video and they just made a song to accompany it. This build up, this drop is really, really sick. It's what you would think it would be. It's kind of chippy, kind of bit crush drop, but I mean it serves. The cuts are so nice too. Sick. Love it. Okay, doubling it's really long. Okay, so that went on for a little bit long for me. It didn't quite double. It like 1.5. It serves the visuals. It gives more time for there to be more FNAF animation, which like totally makes sense. And I'm very much like, I just want the good stuff. You don't need to repeat it. Good once is good once, and that's good enough for me. So I think there the drop could have ended and it could have just gone into the next verse.
Congratulations are deserved. At 6 a.m. you win. We'll see you here tomorrow.
as someone who has basically used these exact same lyrics, you know, you got to talk about 6 a.m., you got to talk about seeing you tomorrow night, you got, you know, things like that. That verse, at least so far, is a bit more vague. It's a little bit more open-ended, and I appreciate that. From a lyrical listening standpoint, it's like, okay, that wasn't quite as on the nose. That wasn't like as specific. It's still a little bit like, what is this about? I like to listen to a lot of these songs from the perspective of how would this stand if someone just played this for me and I didn't know what FNAF was. They didn't show me the audio. Just like, what would it be if someone like gave me a headphone, played this for me? What would I think? That's usually the approach I try to take. With this second verse, I think I would be a little less like, what are they talking about? I love that you into the lowered fifth. That's cool. That's the juices. That's the good part. That's the main course. We only talked about the instrumental of the drop, but the hook, it's our favorite subject to talk about. It's our favorite thing. Prosody. Everyone learn how to spell that word because we are going to talk about it a lot with a lot of these songs. Prosody. Definition: the patterns of rhythm and sound used in poetry. The prosody of there's evil. Evil would be emphasized on the one. If you were talking to someone and you're like, oh, dude, do you see that box in the back of the room that's shaking on its own? That treasure chest that seems like there's something trying to get out? There's evil that waits inside. No, that's not how you would say it. There's evil that waits inside. You would emphasize. The E would be on the one. And normally it's just like sometimes you get away with it, you know, artistic license, what have you, et cetera, et cetera. It's like, yeah, you want to take some liberties because like it's not always going to work out. For me, when it's a hook, when it's something that important, the E on one, I think that would have landed way harder. I think that would have hit a lot harder. Yeah, the emphasis on the syllable. And I don't know what I would have replaced it with because there's evil that waits inside is obviously the sentence that they wanted for the hook. Evil something inside. I don't know what it would be. I would need to take a couple minutes to like figure that out because that is a tricky one. Okay, so it's a double drop. Just the outro? Just the outro. Okay. I love the tone of those bells. Again, the bit crushing, it's such low hanging fruit, but it makes so much sense and it works so well. Like it really, really lands. I don't think that bit crushing for VG tracks has been beaten to death yet. It's been used a lot, but to me, it still hits and it just makes sense. Oh, I really like it. Yeah, you hear that distortion on it? Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. So overall, we're going to encounter this with a lot of FNAF songs, which happens. I totally understand the grind. The thing with this song in particular is it definitely feels like it leans heavily on needing the additional context. I'm not sure how much it works as a standalone song for me. Again, I'm not big on pure electronic music, and without the context of the song, I don't know what this song would actually do for me sonically. That's not me saying it's bad, and these are also my opinions. And again, this was one of the first ones, right? It's been around for at least 10 years. Since this has happened, they've come a long way as a producer and a songwriter and stuff like that. I know I have, I think everyone has. The way I try to rate these is in the context of the grand scheme of all FNAF songs, but not like all music, because this is a thing on its own. Because again, the context is... Whoa, the context is such an important part of it. And also like for a lot of these, I don't personally really listen to FNAF songs. If you were to take like any FNAF songs, and if you're like, oh, let's compare this to like Green Day, it's just like, oh, well, it's not even the same scale. I think with this one, and I'm saying this with all the respect, knowing that we're going to be listening to more TryHardNinja and we're going to like those even better. We're going to see this evolution of the songwriting. I put this one at a 6.5 out of 10. I know that's not great. I didn't like dislike it by any means. That's from my personal taste. I think that's a fair enough setting of like, this isn't for me. I see what it does. That's fine. So overall, that's what we give it.